It took me forever how to figure out how to do this live stream. All right, there we go. Okay, my loves, so welcome back to my channel. I don't know why there's a little light glare above. My setup is a little okay, we're gonna work with that. I think it looks pretty good. There we go. So, hey my loves, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'll be covering the new moon in Gemini that happened today. And it's been a minute since I've been able to post my new moon and full moon videos at the time of the transit. And you can check all my videos. I usually have a spiritual reason and it connects to the transit as to why it happens later. So feel free to check out previous transits. All these videos are timeless because they are made to be contemplations so you can get what you need in the moment. And I also believe in the YouTube algorithm showing you guys messages you need to hear in the moment. So before we jump into the video, just to give you guys a little bit of background about me, my name is Nicole. I'm a wellness entrepreneur, and I also have an apothecary. I'm a mom. I'm a human design reader and teacher, and a spiritualist. So let's hop into the video. Yeah, and of course you can check out my other videos. I've covered topics of my pregnancy journey, motherhood journey, finding out that I was neurodivergent in my ADHD journey, and then releasing it. So I have a lot going on this channel. I also talk about my lock journey, as I've been almost 3 years locked. As of July of 2024, I'll be hitting my 3rd year locked. So yes, tons and tons of stuff. So I have my phone, and from my phone, I'll be reading my notes because I make these videos in conjunction with my Instagram posts that cover the transits. So you can think of my Instagram post as like a visual version of my YouTube channel. I do graphics that cover the new moon and full moon transits, and I also do cover the conscious sun and unconscious earth that transits during the time of the new moon and full moon. And I also give you guys some writing prompts, some self-care, etc. So this video is really just going to be that in verbal form and and more personable and relatable. I'll talk about some themes I've experienced personally and just connect it to also what's happening in the world as well. And thank you for whoever sent that like and is supporting. So let's hop into this video. So this new moon in Gemini is at 16 degrees Cancer. Well, 16 degrees, and 16 degrees is a Cancer degree. And when we have the energy of Cancer, you can think of energies of sensitivity, of spending time at home or being at home or contemplating about our home or even cleaning and decluttering our home. Also, you can think of some of the more negative traits that are connected to Cancer and Cancer placements, like moodiness, passive aggressiveness, heightened emotions, not wearing your heart on your sleeve, perhaps having a hard shell, or being sad and being a little more introverted. So we have a lot of different energies that are coming through during the week. And we also have gate 35 and gate 5 in human design transiting. So gate 35 is the gate of easy progress, and gate 5 is the gate of timing and rhythms. So when we have these types of energies transiting together, it's really giving us this week the push to move forward and kind of showing us what steps we can take to move forward in order to speed up our progress, in order to move in with more alignment with what is happening in nature and nature cycles, and see success quicker and faster. So let's hop into the themes I wrote down for the new moon. So here is the themes. We have Valor, which Valor is a theme connected to knighthood. So I would definitely look at gate 45 if you want a bigger understanding or a better understanding of Valor. We also have Absorption. And Absorption here, I'm going to relate it to Human Design Gate 22, which is the Trinity, and really understanding and absorbing the teachings of Hermes, which is Hermeticism, Jesus, and the Buddha. We also have karma, divine will, timing, repression, Shakti, frequency, polarity, and the causal body. And the causal body is the fourth plane, or the fourth body, and it is a connection of the astral body, the third body, and the fifth body, the Buddhic body. So the causal body is really that period after death, or even an ego death, where you feel like it's two sides of you working together or working apart even. So, with that being said, for this month's new moon mantra, I have two mantras, which I usually do. It started at one, but one mantra was never enough for me. So I usually do two mantras. So for this month, I put separation and refinement, because we see that gate 35 is all about being able to have such a deep unconditional love that we can detach and have a level of separation from our heart's desires. But then we also have the refining aspect of it. When we're able to do this, this actually brings us closer to ourselves, closer to our personal adventure and journey of life, which gives us a level of freedom and just self-actualization that we all desire. And then for the next mantra, I have the synthesis, because I did a post previous transit that I put that it was about the great mutation. I feel like that was around the full moon in Taurus, the great mutation, and then now we have the great synthesis. So what I've seen and what I've noticed in the collective conscious is people becoming more and more aware of social media use, how their social media is being used, and just how it creates so much entropy in their lives. Me particularly, I've had a comment that went kind of viral on Barack Obama's page when regards to the war, and I got so many responses that kind of threw me for a loop. And then honestly, a lot of them I just didn't even bother to look at, because once I saw the post was hitting a certain amount of numbers, I was just like, I'm gonna let it fly. But what I did realize when I shared that comment, which was of a valid concern, I wasn't disrespectful, but I was stating an opinion that I feel like many of us have in regards to how he worded that specific statement. And what I didn't know until a few hours after posting that comment was that Barack Obama's mother-in-law passed away. And you know that the family was very close to her. She lived in the White House during the time of his presidency. So with all that being said, I felt really bad for knowing that I posted a comment that was kind of correcting him, but also, you know, kind of showing a level of disappointment with him. And this is also the day that he finds out that his mother-in-law died. And not only I posted a comment, I'm sure millions of people commented, but I'll just say maybe into the tens of thousands. So when you have that awareness, you start to realize, does it really matter? And also, if it does matter, like I do feel like maybe my comment was meant to be said because so many people resonated with it. How do I focus my energy so I'm not scattered and feel like I'm everywhere? And what's interesting is when we have the frequency, which was gate 16, gates human design, gate 16 transited, and that gate is all about enthusiasm, but it's also called in human design the gate of selectivity. And I realized that part of my desire to share information and teach human design and all these things, it's so important for me to now be selective if I want to hold the same enthusiasm for the things I'm working on, like my apothecary, like sharing human design and spirituality, like spending time with my family. I cannot do those things efficiently if I'm also like commenting in random people's comments or just meme videos and things like that, and all those comments and notifications are coming through to my phone. So it taught me and showed me the importance of having better social boundaries, even though I do want to connect, but I can be in more control of how I connect with others. So you might be experiencing that this week. And also what it showed me was that not only is connection important? Because people do need to be able to see themselves. Because if I had over like 7,000 likes so far, on almost 7,000 at this point, on that one post, on my comment, then imagine that's 7,000 people who wanted to say the same thing. And they may not have necessarily felt the courage to say it, but they felt the courage to like it, because it's a little less risk when you like something as opposed to when you're the one commenting. So all of these things I'm saying is really for you to just consider what may work for you. What are you truly passionate about? And with those passions, how are you going to be selective to promote your skills most efficiently? So now let's move on to my new moon reading, which kind of talks a little bit about what I just said, but I'm going to read exactly what I wrote on my Instagram post. I wrote, "This new moon, I implore you to use social media differently. Collective karma is speeding up, and all thoughts, deeds, and actions cannot be hidden in the world of form." Just like how quickly I responded to Obama, I got all the comments that people had an issue with what I said or how I worded it, and all the comments that praised it. So with that, everything is kind of speeding up, and it's kind of like when you comment on social media, it's kind of like if you were to comment to a friend, but you might get that only that one response back from your friend, or maybe they'll give you like 2 or 3 opinions based on what you said. But now on global platforms, you're opening yourself up to the opinions of the Akashic, which is why karma is speeding up. So I also wrote, "Many of us are outgrowing relationships, and this growth requires a release of old timelines. As you evolve, your desires change, and when we move into places and spaces that better resonate with us, we shed our old timeline and collapse stories of people-pleasing, chaos, and dysfunction. When you choose the highest version of yourself, you are choosing you, and the best version of you will always be the best version for humanity," and it definitely will. Humanity, if you look at Human Design Gate 2, the world's, the universe is always conspiring to evolve. That is literally the energy of women, the energy of mother, the energy of the womb, is to create what is next, is to move forward. So know that if you are operating in a space of doing what is serving you best and making you feel best, and I say this with the understanding that the people watching, you guys are watching, you understand I'm talking about moving in a space that follows spiritual laws and principles. So that means your best and showing up in your best spiritually, morally, ethically, and understanding that, yes, karma is speeding up. So let's see. So now let's talk about the human design. Actually, I'm going to take a moment because I feel like that was pretty heavy information. So let's cover some quick self-care prompts, and then, well, self-care, yes, and then writing prompts, and then we'll end with the human design. So some self-care. Study the city frequencies of the gene keys. So on this channel, I talk about human design, and I talk about astrology, and I talk about the I Ching. I also talk about the gene keys. Human design, the I Ching, and gene keys, these are all, I'm talking about the same 64 hexagrams gates or gene keys. So I'll use those words interchangeably, but it's the same 64 codes I'm referring to. So when we have those 64 codes, those codes also operate on a spectrum. And I'll also talk about some of the shadow frequencies and higher frequencies as I talk about them today. But for the sake of this video, for understanding, I'll be referring to shadow frequencies, which are the lower energies of the gene key or the gate, as well as or hexagram, as well as the gift, which is basically like what we can embody or how we can act out that life theme in real form. And life theme is also another term I'll use when I'm referring to the gates. So the life theme. And then we have the city, which is basically the highest frequency. It's almost as if the energy of the life theme reverts or inverts on itself. And then you get the city frequency. So when we think about the cities, it's something that we truly want to embody, because the city is all about the energy that is really kind of like future, the energy we're trying to move towards to and attain. And they usually end up being energies of virtue and energies that kind of surpass, they're in the meta, they go beyond what humans are capable of, because they're almost at a state, they are in fact at a state of perfection. So now let's hop into some other self-care. So another self-care thing you can do for the month of for this month in June, as well as for this particular new moon, is learn about the elementals. And I'll give you guys a little Easter egg. You can check out The Last Airbender. That movie, of course, is going to cover, it talks about the avatar, and also the avatar, which is kind of like a representation of, you know, Jesus, Buddha, or Hermes, like this master human that is able to defend the planet. So think about the elements and how you can work with the elements, because we are made up of this matter. So if we better are able to understand how to use the elements of the earth, we can then be able to protect the earth and protect ourselves. Next is take a short trip. So Gemini rules, if I'm correct, the third house, and the third house is about short trips. It also connects to siblings. Gemini is known as the twins. So you might be spending more time talking to your siblings or catching up with them. I particularly have been spending more time catching up with my family, and family has been heavy on my mind this month. Along with Gemini, we do have the new moon transiting at a 16th degree, which is a Cancer degree, which also relates back to family. So this month, consider connecting more with your family, seeing what they're up to, being more social with others. Then we also have practice transcendental meditation. Transcendental meditation is a way of grounding and dropping into your body, and also connecting deeper with yourself. And it's also working with the breath and breathing and sitting and being in stillness. And when we are able to do that, we are allowing the energy of the earth to move through us. And by doing so, we kind of get the healing, or we do get the healing and information that we need through the cosmos. And again, with the earthiness and also with the energy of Gemini and communication, we want to eat lion's mane. So the fifth self-care prompt here is to eat lion's mane. Lion's mane is amazing for brain health, and it's also really good for connecting our different parts of our brain that may not have been accessed for a long time. So with that, this month is a great time to connect with lion's mane, to connect with different mushrooms, because there's also cordyceps and reishi and psilocybin. There's all these different things that you can connect to. I would always say, no matter what you do, when you're ingesting something, be responsible, be intentional, and know what works for you. So now let's quickly hop into some writing prompts, and I want to give you guys the writing prompts now so that you can think about them as I read and talk about the human design gates. So here are some writing prompts. Have I experienced death, and what did it feel like? What memories can I now release? How can I be more compassionate? And can I accept grace more deeply into my life? And for that particular writing prompt, I actually answered it on my Instagram post, and I wrote, yes, we always can accept more grace into our lives. So that question is, how can I accept grace more deeply into my life? And with those writing prompts, I really, really would love if you guys check out the Gene Keys book by Richard Rudd and read the Gene Key 22. Gene Key 22 relates to Human Design Gate 22 as well as Hexagram 22. And the hexagram is called adorning in the Kuan Yin, which is the feminine version of the Chinese I Ching, but it's also called grace in human design. So I would definitely say take a look at it and just read the transmission, because particularly with the gene keys, the book is talking to your DNA. So you don't even have to understand everything you're reading, but just by reading it and taking in the information, it is changing you on a cellular and molecular level, which is super cool. And that's why I've been making these videos and talking about it, because I have seen how just studying this information of human design radically changed my life, changed my focus, and the way I move in the world. So here's another Easter egg before we hop into the human design gates, is your Venus sequence. So if you are a fan of the gene keys, I would also check out your Venus sequence, because your Venus sequence shows kind of like your journey through love and journey to release karma in this life. And when we're able to understand that through the things we have to work on our Venus sequence, it can really propel us forward. For me in particular, my Venus sequence, part of it is working through vanity and superficiality, because I have one of the, I think my unconscious Mars is in gate 20, which is part of the Venus sequence. So being able to understand that about myself, focus on being more present and moving out of the superficial, which is kind of can sometimes have us feeling vacant, then, or even shallow, it really helped me to be able to step into a place of being more of service and being more wanting depth in my community. And I think motherhood was part of my journey with that as well. I also wrote here, the Venus sequence shows your journey of karma in life, showing us how we share sacred karma as it's imprinted in us from conception. So as I told you guys where my unconscious Mars is and how that plays out, that is imprinted in me from the time I was born. So imagine knowing this information, or your parents knowing this information from when you're very small, and how that can radically shift the way your life moves forward, because you're able to have the awareness, learn what you need to learn to help shift things. But also, and I'll say this really quickly, sometimes when we're aware of some of our traumas and our karma, we can continue to perpetuate that, as opposed to if we didn't know at all. So keep that in mind as well. Sometimes we can push to want to know so much, and some things are better left to be unknown. And that's kind of part of learning the way of the divine feminine and trusting, is that having those boundaries really keeps you from being involved in everything and knowing everything. Because think about it, I was frustrated or disappointed in Obama's message, but I also could have just not been on social media that day and not seen his message. So, you know, I, in some ways, chose the reality I had that day of commenting, of feeling the way I felt, because I chose to go online. And I do think there's value in that, right? And I'm fine with what happened. But I also am now at this new awareness of, if I don't want those situations to happen as frequently, how do I go about monitoring how I communicate on social media? All right, so now that we've talked about all of that, I want to end on a high note by talking about these wonderful human design gates. So we have human design gate 35, which is the gate of progress, also known in the I Ching as easy progress in the classic I Ching. And it's also called another name. Why is it not coming to me right now? Success. In the Kuan Yin Book of Changes, it's called success. So this life theme in particular is guiding us, or giving us the tools or understanding, contemplations, to help us understand how we can move forward through life easily. And its programming partner, gate 5, which is the gate of rhythms and timing, shows us how a big part of how we move through life easily is working with nature's cycles and working with our time. And particularly if you're a woman, working with your menstrual cycle, and understanding like your hormones, your luteal phase, and all of these things. So let's hop into human design gate 35, easy progress. So here's what I wrote on my Instagram post. In the I Ching, this hexagram has been called success and also easy progress because this life theme shows us what must be done to move through life as easily as possible. Easy progress happens when we release expectation and allow the adventure, which is the gift frequency here, of life to guide our steps. Humanity has been stuck for a long time in the shadow states of hunger, with the repressive nature showing as bored and its reactive nature as mania. Gate 35 is connected to the secretion of serotonin in our body, which regulates this hunger. And it also has the physiology of being in the thyroid, which we know that, like, if you have hyperthyroidism and thyroid and parathyroid, but also if you have hyperthyroidism or hyperthyroidism, you may be bigger or smaller in terms of your weight, because this all relates to how your body digests and processes food, as well as other things, emotions, etc. So when we view life as abundant, we can release people, places, and things that keep you in the shadow frequencies and allow everyone to align with who they are meant to. The city of the 35th gate is boundlessness, the energy of unconditional love and detachment. Here is the wormhole to miracles. So what I love about gate 35 is it's called the wormhole, and it connects to gate 16, which is the gate of miracles, because it's all about enthusiasm. And when we're enthusiastic about something, or a skill set that we have, miracles can happen. Our life can transform in ways that we never expected. And for me, particularly, human design has been that, just in terms of my joy for studying this information and my awareness of life. It opened up my awareness in so many ways. But also, I found the wormhole to my suffering. Like, I didn't realize like how much I suffered in so many ways, because I wanted to see life through this perfect ideal lens, because I was raised that way. I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and so much of that teaching is, I don't want to say good or bad, but I do feel like for me personally, there was a lot of spiritual bypassing, especially when it came to like dealing with death, like death of a loved one, and grief, and like just like the state of the planet, dealing with the truth of war and violence and things of this nature. So with that, understanding the cycles of life and nature, I'm realizing that even the world is a reflection of those very cycles. And although it's unfortunate, all I can do is go for the ride and know that, as in Revelations, as like the end of all spiritual teachings, there is this nirvana or paradise or beautiful ending, this happily ever after, happily ever after-ing. All right, so along with, I wanted to say something else about gate 35. Yeah, so if you think of gate 35 and you're thinking of like serotonin, we understand that like serotonin is the happy chemical. It's something that we release when we do things that bring us joy. And sometimes because of that, we can chase states of joy continually, not realizing that similarly to the digestive cycle, we have to become empty to fill up again. So understanding this patterning, it helps us get through life and understand the gift, which is life is an adventure. And this keeps us in a space of being unbounded to things, unbounded to people, because we just go with the flow and we understand the adventure of life. I think part of the conversation I was having about social media connects to this theme, because I think many of us are still following the same accounts we followed in high school because we just feel like that's what we're supposed to do. But if none of their values or energies resonate with you, how are you creating that paradise for yourself? Because you're continually getting hits to your serotonin. You're continually seeing things that are upsetting you, and you're continually feeling sad. You're not allowing yourself to even be filled up. Or you might be in the opposite state. You're constantly being filled up by other people's lives and everything else, and you're in a state where you can't really sit with yourself. So that is what this gene key relates to, is the energy of finding more balance And actually, I'm going to write it in my notes right now, so when I add the description, I make sure to say it. But it's the book called Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And the book Untethered Soul, really, you read the whole book and then you get to the end, and it's really about finding the middle path. It's like whenever you're from one extreme, you're always going to swing back to the other extreme. But then if you want to feel that steadiness throughout life, it's about finding what brings you to the middle continually, and going with that flow. Like a pendulum, it swings from side to side to side, but it's like, if you want to find yourself here where you feel like you have a little more, I don't want to say the word control, but stability. When you want to have a little more stability, it comes down to the teachings of this middle path. So yes, I'm going to add the book here so I remember to add it on this post by Michael Singer. And I'm an Audible member. I absolutely love Audible. This video is not about Audible, but we're going to make it a little bit about Audible. If you like reading with your ears like I do, then I would highly recommend checking out Audible. Audible is an Amazon company, so if you have Amazon, it's so easy to have Audible. You can literally use the same information, but Audible, you can get your first book free to check out how you enjoy reading with your ears. And if you really love it, like I do, because I can take walks and read, I can clean and read, it can bless you. And this book is a great read, especially as you're kind of going through your day in life. So let's see. Now let's talk about Human Design Gate 5, which is the gate of rhythms. So here's what I wrote for it. And I actually decided to just go to my Instagram post. So these are what my Instagram posts look like. I'll show you guys really quick. Oop, showing you my whole page. There we go. So I put like the new moon. Then I do a visual. This says separation and refinement. Then this is the new moon reading that I just read for you guys. The themes are right here. I'm tapping this screen. I should be tapping this screen. Then we have the Human Design reading for Gate 35. Then another visual, the synthesis. Then another reading. This is Gate 5, which I'm going to read right now. Then, sorry, it's not the best right now because of the double screens, but this is the self-care prompts and the writing prompts. And then the end screen, I talked about mushrooms, so I added that visual there. All right, so let me read what I wrote for the Human Design Gate 5 timing. Divine timing is the key to unlocking our greatest potential in life. All of life operates on rhythms, and these rhythms help us see our unity and give us deep faith in life. Timing reminds us there is order to the universe, and we do not need to be in fear. When we do feel fear, we can then see what is the root of our fears. Are we operating in the shadow of impatience or the gift frequency of patience? When we move out of fear patterns and operate at the gift frequency of this gene key, we begin to move at the speed of light. All genetic predispositions can be transcended through the awareness that we are designed to mutate past our mind's capabilities. When living in a state of being, we dissolve time and no longer separate from light. And I'd like that because Gate 5 in particular reminds us that life has a timing. So we can force something, we can even try to stop ourselves from something, but really it's all divine timing. So when we choose to see that, we can actually surpass anything if we just come into life thinking like, I want to be my best every day, because whatever plays out is meant to play out. And I think back to when I felt like I was in my best flow. My best flow was literally waking up saying, I'm going to do my best every day. When I started waking up and thinking like, I got to do this, I got to do this, I actually didn't do my best. And I sometimes often fell back into patterns or ways that stressed me out more. So, and that goes back to the shadow frequency of being impatient, because impatience can really have you scattered and kind of like your energy all over the place. So, really focusing in on understanding time, understanding that there is a divine time. We are also all connected. So, timing is a collective energy. It's not something that you can outdo or move past. It really depends on everyone else sometimes. And when I say everyone else, I'm talking about like what evolution is here to bring. Because for me, particularly, I know that I've been really big on wanting to share this human design information, and many of us who share this information, we are big on like trying to churn it out and get it out because we're like, this has changed our lives, it's going to help people, etc., etc. But the reality is the collective has to be ready for the information that we want to share, and if they're not ready for it, doesn't matter. So sometimes you'll hear like someone is ahead of their time, and it's not that they actually are ahead of their time, because like think about Marilyn Monroe. Her birthday actually just passed, and she was ahead of her time, but by being ahead of her time, she actually fell into the city frequency, which is timelessness. She was able to transcend fears that she had. She was able to live life bigger than what people expected of her, because although she was very beautiful and very smart, a lot of people just focused on the vanity metrics of who she was and never really saw, until after death, the the true value of what she was able to bring. Marilyn Monroe was an ally. She also, a lot of what she experienced in Hollywood paved the way for a lot of other women to have certain protections and things. And, you know, we knew what she experienced. So when those things become public, it kind of changes people's perception, because it kind of allows the collective to go through this learning process. And we see that, and this is not just with Marilyn, but you see it with celebrities, that a lot of times issues that come up in the media are actually just issues that are coming through the collective, and celebrities tend to be the martyr of that energy because they're the ones experiencing this energy on a public, in the public eye, right? So they kind of take the fall for the collective to learn the lesson, if that makes any sense. So with all of this being said, know that the beauty of learning information and the beauty of coming into yourself is to surpass anything that you ever thought you can be or do. And when you understand that, you just live life with such freedom. And I'm saying this, but I'm like, soul, please take that information so you stop stressing, because I can be a very impatient person. I literally have my conscious sun in human design in gate 2, line 3, which is receptivity, but in the third line it says patience. So my whole life journey has been learning patience, but I will say part of my personal desire to move past timelines has actually brought me everything I wanted in timing, in the timing it was meant to. So patience doesn't always have to mean just waiting around or seeing what's going on in the world and saying, oh, because this is happening, I guess I can't do it. Patience means trusting in your vision so deeply that no matter what's going on in the world, you believe it can happen, so you take the active daily steps to do it. Working with timing and universal timing definitely helps, but know that sometimes universal timing is waiting on you. So with all that being said, I'm going to end this video. I think I also want to quickly add, I'll add another video by LYONS, who talked about collapsing timelines. Let me write it in my notes to make sure that I add it under the video. Sometimes I could get to talking about a lot of different topics here, and I find myself not adding it in the video. So I will add LYONS video as another Easter egg for you guys to watch if you want to see a video about going deeper in collapsing timelines, and also feeling good about collapsing timelines, because part of gate 35 and having this energy of boundlessness is really having unconditional love for people, to say that I'm not cutting you off, but I'm giving you space to find community more in alignment with you, and finding community more in alignment with me, and fractals that understand me, because I don't want to be in hunger, in states of lower frequencies, because I'm not feeling the reciprocation. I want to be in high states and ecstatic states. That's how I'm able, and have Shakti. That's how I'm able to create and help and do the things that can help show me or create the world I want around me. So allowing us and allowing each other to find the fractals that are best for us is going to be the best that serves the world. So I'll add those videos, the video, Untethered Soul, the book, and I also am going to, I know I talked about the synthesis of Gate 22 and Jesus, Hermes, and Buddha, but I'm specifically going to add, and the Wikipedia for Hermes Trismegistus. I can't say his name properly, but um, he connects to divine will. And I think many of us, especially if you grew up with a spiritual background, you're taught about Jesus and you're taught about Buddha. Jesus teaches about forgiveness and love, and Buddha teaches about compassion and wisdom. But the third part of that trinity is Hermes, which teaches about divine will and justice. So I really want people to understand that a little bit more, and we see that if we can synthesize these energies of our divine will and justice, love and love and why am I not love and forgiveness, and wisdom and compassion, we will be able to really self-actualize in a way that we never have. Because I don't know many people who are synthesizing or integrating all of those teachings. We often are told to stick to one thing, or I know there's a lot of Christians who are very, very big on Jesus, and I think that's a beautiful thing. But one thing I particularly have observed and seen in many people who just follow Jesus, they actually are very judgmental, which is funny because isn't Jesus about forgiveness and love? But within holding this deep love, they can be very judgy because of their beliefs versus others. But when we also have wisdom and compassion, and also the divine will to live a life that we desire and share our skills, we aren't so focused on judging others, because we're actively operating in a state of compassion through the skills that we offer. We're taking right action. We're being just. So we understand when there's a time to be fully forgiving, and when there's a time to forgiveness actually is self-forgiveness, and it's about doing what is just for the situation. So yeah, this synthesis is really impactful, and I can't wait for you guys to, learn more about all this stuff, or continue on your journey of learning. Shoot, you may be watching this and know a lot more about human design, astrology, and all this stuff than I do, but regardless, if you are, then I hope you're sharing this information with people and doing it in a way that makes people feel appreciated, and not feel like you're pushing information or you're judging them. So I said a lot. I'm gonna hop off this video. I'm just really happy that I'm able to post on the day of the transit. Very, very happy about that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video.